いやはや、まったくもってお見事な食事ぶり。さすがはアルボ君。私の名はトバルカイン・アルハンブラ。
Tubalcain Alhambra was not a really deep or fleshed out character, but like most Hellsing characters, he offers a little more than meets the eye. And especially the sentence,
"Now, it's time to play, Alhambra! I want to hear you squeal like a pig,"
has a pretty morbid backstory, which I'll explain later in the video. But at first, we have to explain the situation. Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. Why are we here? Integra sends Alucard, Ceres and Captain Bernadotte to Brazil to snuff out Millennium. Why Brazil? During and after the Second World War, a lot of people fled to South America. We aren't talking about the good ones, more like these guys. And in Hellsing, they reformed as Millennium. And I don't think I gotta tell you what they're up to. But as soon as the Hellsing crew arrives, they are immediately framed as terrorists, and squadrons of police troops are out to kill them. So, how did that happen? Well, here we meet our character for the first time, Tubalcain Alhambra. He bribed the whole police force with the prospect of immortality, if they can take down Ceres and Alucard. Well, that's what he promised. But in actuality, he never believed that they could defeat Alucard. The actual goal of this was to exhaust Alucard's ammunition, to weaken him, because they believed his guns are the main source of his power. Millennium tries to grasp how strong Alucard actually is. They first tried it with Luke, who was faster than Alucard, but that wasn't enough, as Alucard shoots his leg, immobilizing and killing him. Well, next, let's try to exhaust his ammunition. Issue here? There's an interview with Kota Hirano, because people asked him why Alucard is never reloading. The answer? All guns in Hellsing are infinity guns. Basically, they never run out of ammo. Not because it's logical, but he thinks it's cooler that way. Too bad Millennium couldn't really know that. Fourth wall is a bitch. But still, Luke's speed isn't enough. Let's try the magical card guy. Maybe he manages to kill Alucard. But before we get deep into the fight, let's actually look at the guy. Tubalcain Alhambra is a middle-aged man with grey hair, a hat and a suit. His name comes from the biblical figure Tubalcain, which is a descendant of Cain, the son of Adam and Eve. Yeah, that's the same guy that's famous for killing his brother Abel. Remember that these were the first humans. So everything they did was pretty much a novelty. So Cain was the first murderer ever. Too bad that's a pretty bad lineage to be born in, because Tubalcain also had some issues himself. Once he went hunting with his father Lamech. Lamech was half blind, so he couldn't really see what he was shooting at. You guess where this is going. So Tubalcain told him there's an animal, helped him aim, and turns out he guided his hand to shoot Cain, killing him in the process. What a nice man. The reason for that? Well, how'd I know? Ask the Pope or someone else. I don't understand that stuff at all. There's also no real reason given. Dude just woke up and chose violence. Tubalcain is also the first blacksmith ever, so maybe there's a motive in him being a better weapon than Luke Valentine, but nothing I would really confidently claim. But that's it for the first name. The second name, Alhambra, comes from the Arabic language, meaning the red one. It is also the name of an old Islamic castle in Granada, Spain. The name comes from the reddish color of the stone used. So what does that mean for our character here? Probably nothing. Hirano most likely just liked the combination of names, but he also has a nickname in which he introduces himself, the Dandy. A dandy is basically just a man who puts a lot of care into his appearance to stand out amongst his peers. There is this really fun documentation about the Congolese dandy. You might want to watch that. It's pretty interesting. But that's basically the reason for the man's nickname. He just dresses nicely, and I'm pretty sure he also smells kinda good. But back to the scene. After some chit-chat, they start fighting. Well, instead of hitting each other, they are essentially just killing bystanders. So, typical main character stuff. The dandy is pretty strong, as he dodges Alucard's bullets easily and matching him in speed. He also has some tricks up his sleeve, like having the ability to use card clones and vanish on the spot. He even hits Alucard, who goes for a strategic relocation. They end up on the roof of the hotel, where we see something interesting. Alucard isn't able to regenerate as easily after being hit by Tubalcain's cards. So, is this enough to kill him? Well, I don't think so. But here Alucard says the phrase,
"さあ行くぞ。歌い踊れアルハンブラ。豚のような悲鳴を上げろ."
And then the real fight starts, where Tubalcain pushes Alucard quite a lot. He sure is confident in his abilities, and Alucard doesn't seem to get a proper hit in. Well, the dandy didn't account for Seras, who starts blasting some pretty big calibers at the well-dressed man, who can dodge the fire, but isn't able to focus on both of them at the same time. Too bad, Alucard uses that distraction and manages to grab the dandy's hand. Checkmate. Alucard then breaks his leg. Just a small flex, but recently these Hellsing Perfect Editions were released, and you should get them. And some display stands from Manga Guardian. They have pretty cool stuff for your bookshelf, and you get 15% off of your whole order with my code Sleepy15 and support the channel. Thanks Manga Guardian for being awesome, and back to the video. One thing that is fascinating to compare here is the difference in reaction from Alucard to the artificial vampires in their reaction to pain. As we can clearly see, vampires do feel pain, and even Alucard gets startled when he gets attacked unexpectedly. The difference? If he is prepared, he can ignore it and regenerate. Alhamra here, not sure if he can. Well, and even if he can, we are never going to find out, since in the next scene we hear the famous quote again.
Jetzt wirst du schreien, wie ein Schwein, ja!
This is probably the most memorable quote from this fight, and it's actually a movie reference to the 1972 movie Deliverance. In the movie, a group of 4 businessmen go for a canoe trip down the river, before said river is going to be dammed. They then realize that the locals are kinda messed up, typical hillbilly stuff, but so messed up that they get attacked by him, and one of them even gets SA'd. During the act, the man tells him to squeal like a pig.
Come on, squeal! Squeal!
The movie is a little messed up, but it sounds like a movie that would be on point for Hirano to watch, and an act that's pretty consistent with Alucard. Alucard is not a good guy, never forget that. Also, that's the title of a video that will be coming eventually, so you should subscribe to the channel. But back to the fight. Alucard and Tubalcain clash again, and this time it's over for the dandy. Alucard splits his arm and then takes a good bite, absorbing his memory in the process, while the dandy burns to cinders. And this is pretty much the end of Tubalcain Alhambra. He gets a little appearance in the end of the show as one of Alucard's familiars, but it's not really that relevant to his story. And although he was a minor antagonist, he is pretty rememberable, and I guess that's because he just was cool. Tubalcain in the end was just another test for Alucard from the Major. Physical ability is not enough, that's why Luke failed. Magic tricks and technology also didn't really work. Even stripping Alucard of his guns isn't enough. He is more than a vampire. He's a walking castle, a true monster, and pretty difficult to take down. Why you would want to take him down? Well, you should watch my video on the Major about that, where I explain his motivations in detail. But this is the end for this video. Thanks Manga Guardian, code Sleepy15 for 15% off, and see you in the next video. Bye!
What was that?